Warning. You've reached On the Box with Ray Comfort and are now in a biblical truth zone. Place all questions about theology, current events, and evangelism on the box, where they'll be weighed against the truth of God's Word. Ready your hearts and minds. You're about to be inspired and equipped to fulfill the Great Commission. Programming to engage in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another epic installment of On the Box with Ray Comfort. Sitting at the Dean's desk today is the equable Mark Spence. And this is the erudite Ray Comfort.
Sounds like something from another planet. He's an erudite.
Erudite. Erudite's a good word, Ray.
Speaking of that, I got this plaque yesterday from some atheists. You can't really see it just as well. It says,
from your recent big debate. Yes. The Giant Rumble.
It was great.
By the way, his name is Aaron. Kept calling him Aaron. It's Aaron.
Aaron. Okay.
Aaron Ra.
But it was. I really enjoyed myself to have a platform to speak to so many atheists. When they said there was 2,000 atheists listening in, I didn't believe it until I read the comments, and there certainly was. I wasn't preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
It was.
I looked at those too. And by the way, for you atheists out there watching us, those of you that watched the debate, or rather listened to it. And by the way, Ray, somewhere it said it was an hour long, but it said like 38 minutes on the video. Is that because of the cutting in and out stuff that was happening?
In and out?
Mark Spence ate
I don't know. It was an hour long, but they did have trouble. The whole thing crashed at the beginning because they weren't expecting so many people.
That's probably what it was, because there were parts where it kept cutting in and out, and so. But anyway, a lot of you atheists said that Ray got pummeled, so I went and listened to it, and I'm biased, but I also have to say that Ray did an awesome job.
Oh, thank you.
No, seriously. I mean, by what they were saying, I was expecting, and hey, we all have a bad day. I mean, some of the greatest debaters lose debates. But I really tried to listen to it objectively, and you pinned him on a number of things, and I think you did a great job. So, write to us. Tell us what things bugged you, what you didn't like, and we won't read them, but write to us. So what did they send you?
The plaque, it said, not even close. Ray Comfort in recognition of getting, and I had to blot out a few words there, kicked. So that's I'll keep it and I'll treasure it, but I'll have to keep it censored.
Yeah.
But whoever sent this, it was anonymous. Thank you, Mr. Dawkins.
Yes. Imagine it was him. I'll pull that. But no, we will read your emails. I was just joking back then when I said we wouldn't read them. But do write to us and let us know. Mark Spence, you just got back from Iowa. Tell us how it went.
Oh, it was a real hoot, according to my boy, Nathaniel, who I had the opportunity to bring. They were a great church. I think I spoke for almost 4 or 5 hours worth of speaking. I was exhausted. I preached my heart out, and I think the people were blessed. On my way home, as I was going through security, the TSA officers were talking about a celebrity that had just walked right before I did, and I said, who was it? And they said, it's a guy named Steve-O, who stars alongside a guy named Johnny Knoxville in some very crude movies which none of us have seen. But I went in there. It's a very small airport, and I almost missed him because he was entering onto, he actually just had his plane ticket scanned, Steve-O, and he began to walk down the little, I don't know, what do you call that
jetway.
The jetway to get onto the plane, and I had stopped him and went over, put my hand on his shoulder, pulled out the 180 DVD, and I said, hey, I think you're really going to like this. And I pointed to that explicit material symbol on the DVD.
We knew that would come in handy someday.
We knew eventually. So he thanked me for it, and I said, I think you really like it. And he goes, hey, yeah, I'll take a look at it. Thank you so much. But he has, a really raspy voice.
Right.
And that was that.
Oh, that's great, Mark. Well, it's always encouraging to me, Mark, when you get the opportunity to go and speak. And, hey, if you want a great speaker to come to your church, then please write to us and ask for me. But if I'm not available, Mark would love to come. No, seriously, Mark is he is one of the most effective speakers I've ever heard, and he would have a great impact on your church and congregation. So you can pay me for that comment later, Mark. All right. Tomorrow is no. Before we get to tomorrow, we had a great group of friends who love the ministry from a group called CSBA Racing. They did a 5-day outreach.
I saw some photos that came through today.
Right. In fact, I think we have a picture of that, don't we, guys?
Oh, let's go. Well, there it is.
Anyway, they did a 180 outreach. Look at that. I mean, seriously, these guys were out there for 5 days reaching out and giving 180 to people.
Boy, the guy in the white suit looks kind of thin.
Yeah.
That other guy was in 180.
Yeah, he was.
He's manning the booth now.
You know, they say that guy in the white suit's crazy. They said he lost his head, you know, a long time ago. But please, you know, do remember that the fight continues, and we have so much to do on that front. So look at these guys out there reaching out, and think of the people that got the DVDs and how many lives were changed, how many babies were saved. So let's continue that effort. Okay, now tomorrow, if we're done showing those pictures, tomorrow is Meet Me at the Pole. Is that what it's called, Alan?
See you.
Oh, okay.
Talk about self-centered. Meet me at the pole. You lucky people.
Hello, I am the Arab. Meet me at the pole, please. Okay.
I'll be signing the pole.
Meet me at the pole. See you at the pole. It's all about you. Yeah, so I remember being in high school. I was a newer believer, and I got saved. Mark, did you do? Oh, you weren't. Were you a Christian when you were in high school, Mark?
No, I wasn't. See You at the Pole actually came right when I had graduated, and I was actually just mentioning this at the staff meeting today that I was doing some filming with Josh McDowell right when I had graduated from high school in 1990, and there were some guys that were on the panel there that had started See You at the Pole, so I had a chance to meet them at that same time.
Yeah, I remember when I was a new Christian, I headed up the Bible study club at my high school and helped out with that. And we did that. Did you guys do anything like that in New Zealand?
At the pole? We didn't have a pole.
Oh, yeah. See you at the giant Kiwi statue. It was one excuse that we could cry.
See you at the South Pole. We're pretty close to it.
I remember One Hill Tree. You guys have some.
No, One Tree Hill.
Whatever. One Hill Tree.
It's a tree with one hill on the top of it. That's really powerful.
Oh, boy. I'm in trouble when I get home with my Kiwi
It's called One Tree
wife.
Hill in Auckland, and was chopped down by the local natives.
That's
the
terrible.
Maoris. Yeah, that was in protest about something.
Right.
Hills or trees or
Probably
something.
over an Arab who did something.
Yeah,
Said
probably.
something crazy. But anyways, look how we got off on that. See you at the pole. Go pray.
Meet me at the tree
tomorrow, and you know, go and intercede. It's also a good opportunity to give out gospel tracts, because I'm sure there's kids that'll be there at schools that have grown up in Christian homes, and it's just the right thing to do. Give out tracts.
And also, I'm so excited to see this. And it was started by 10 Christians in 1990 or something. Now millions meet at the pole.
Right.
It'd be great if it was, instead of see you at the pole, see you preaching at the pole. We're better, because we've been commanded to go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. And it's the gospel, it's the power of God to salvation. So let's see if we can motivate these praying Christians to be preaching Christians, to put legs to their prayers.
Amen.
I love what A.W. Tozer said, and praying is wonderful. He said, have you noticed how much praying for revival has been going on of late, and how little revival has resulted? I believe our problem is that we've been trying to substitute praying for obeying, and it simply will not work. To pray for revival while ignoring the actual, flouting the plain precept laid out in the scriptures is to waste a lot of words and get nothing for our trouble. So let's make sure we put legs to our prayers and preach that gospel.
That's a good point. I mean, oftentimes you've cited the fact that we pray to the Lord of the harvest to send laborers in the harvest field, and we don't realize that we're the answer to that prayer.
Yeah, here I am, Lord, send him.
Right. People will pray for it but not get involved themselves.
Yeah.
So make sure to do that. All right, Evidence Bible quote, and I'm going to pass it over to Mark Spence after I read this to comment. This is from Billy Graham, and he said,
Who?
Nothing. Billy Graham, you ever heard of him?
It's a preacher.
Right, yeah, something like that. Nothing surpasses a tract for sowing the seed of the good news. Mark, what do you think of that?
Well, I would agree. You know, Spurgeon said when private tail cannot be used, get a track, a good striking track.
Right.
And I think that's exactly what we try to do. We try to get tracks that will meet the person where they're at. We have all types of tracks. We're going to get into the tool of the day, which will deal with a gospel track. I think tracks are obviously the way to go, because they're able to get inside people's houses when you can't. You can stash them in many different places, and we're going to touch upon that in a little bit. But yeah, gospel tracts, they work. Why do they work? Well, because God uses them.
Right. Amen. Ray, why?
I don't know. God uses tracts, and so should we. You know, people ask, why use tracts? Because you use any means possible to say. Paul said that in the book of Corinthians, chapter 6, verse 3. And but if you're in a lifeboat and you're reaching out to save people, and you find that by holding out one hand you can pull one person in, two hands you can pull two people in, but by grabbing an oar and putting it out you can pull 5 or 6 in at once in that lifeboat. You do it, so use any means possible, and tracts are a wonderful way to mass distribute the gospel and to bring up the subject of the gospel and to leave something in people's hands. So I always carry tracts. I'm never ever without tracts.
Yeah, amen. Even in swimming pools, right?
Even in swimming pools.
Right.
Yeah.
Ha-ha! How'd it go? Uh-huh. Right. All right, we're going to talk a little more about tracts in a minute, but I do want to highlight for us that episode number 2 of... Why do we stall for time like that as people? I want to highlight for
we
us.
need a little beep, beep in the background when that sort of thing's going on.
We need help, for sure. Okay, let me try to get this right. The second episode of the Europe season is airing tonight. The first one aired last week. We hope you all caught it on TBN, but it'll be airing tonight on TBN, and it will be going to our other networks shortly after that, hopefully in about another month and a half or so. So please make sure to check it out. Tonight we have Brussels airing. Get him! Okay, let's play that, guys, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Living Waters presents The Way of the Master, Brussels.
Warning. Preaching to people who are inebriated late at night can be very hazardous to your health.
After death
God.
is judgment, and you're going to stand before a holy God.
You always have to face the God you are believing in. And I'm believing in not your God, so I'm not have to face it.
But that's called idolatry, when you make a God to suit yourself.
No, I'm not making a God to suit myself.
I did it before I was a Christian.
My God is the God of all religions.
Your God doesn't exist. He's a figment of your imagination.
Boom! Get him!
Intolerant!
No!
Intolerant!
Get your copy of the Brussels episode today at livingwaters.com.
Yeah, I thought I was going to die.
But that never stops you, Ray. That's the thing about you. That's what happened in Jerusalem. That guy was...
He's homosexual.
Mark, you remember that guy?
You know, I do remember that guy. I remember when we went into London, it was a really neat time. I remember Val, myself, and Tricia went out and got a bite to eat while everybody else kind of checked into the hotel. And there was no plans to go out at night when we were on this European filming excursion. Well, when we went into Brussels there, we said, hey, let's go get another bite to eat while everybody else goes to sleep. You know, we're never going to be in Belgium again, right? When's that going to happen? And there were hundreds upon hundreds, if not thousands of people there in this town square. The mayor's office is right there. And we said, boy, we got to go tell Ray and the crew about this. So we went back to the hotel, told everybody, and it took like an hour to get everybody together to make our way out there. And by that time, it was only the faithful drunk that were left. And that guy was one of them.
You know, I was extremely frustrated with that because I was ready to go. As soon as Mark says 1,000, I said, let's go. But getting HD cameras ready in those days, that was 4 or 5 years ago, it took an hour for them to adjust this, get that. And
but you're a very patient guy.
I am.
So.
No, when it comes to preaching the gospel, I thought that it's going to be, and it was just like 100 drunks left that we stepped into, but that was interesting.
Yeah, no, that was an awesome night, and the whole thing with that is that guy was talking about tolerance.
Oh yes,
and then he says,
Get him.
Good thing they didn't get you, right? All right, we are going to move on.
Further
to
it's crickets. We need the sound of
crickets. That's what it is.
Yes.
Okay, we talked about the new episode. We showed it. All right, now, man, are we there?
We've done Tool of the Day.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Tool of the Day. Did I skip it, Alan?
Yeah, it's
okay.
6.
Mark Spence, Tool of the Day.
I thought we were going to talk about Joe Biden.
Oh, we are. Oh, yeah, that's after. Okay, do Tool of the Day, then we'll talk about Biden. Let's just do it.
The Tool of the Day. We have the Obama trillion, or is it a million? It's a million. The Obama $1 million bill, and we used to sell these in stacks of 100, and I guess the approval rating went down. So now it's put inside of a celebrity stack where you can get 3 sets of 34 different celebrities in the stack of million bills.
We should have gone to trillions with the Obama.
We should have.
Millions is irrelevant.
Right.
So livingwaters.com, you can get your own pack.
Yeah, make sure to get a hold of those. But the reason why we're featuring those today as the tool of the day is because we got an exciting email from a good friend of the ministry named Rob Noah from Iowa, where you just were, Mark. And we want to show that picture of what happened with him and the vice president. There it is.
Vice President's the one on the right.
Right. No, it's the one in the back, isn't it? Saluting? No.
Oh, he's taking a picture at the back. So we
can
can get a picture of the back of them as well.
Yeah, so anyways, I called Rob to talk to him and get a little more of the story. He wasn't there, but I talked to his wife, and it was a political sort of visit that was done. You know, Iowa is a big battleground state, so a lot of the politicians will go out there and try to connect with people. And Joe Biden came into the restaurant, and our friend Rob was there, and he went up and he gave him a tract. And so I just thought, wow, how neat. Did I say Ohio?
No, you said Iowa, and I was just thinking it's appropriate that politicians that owe so much money to foreign countries go to a state called Iowa, mint of money.
Right,
Iowa.
No kidding. And we'll see what will happen in this election. But how neat that he had the boldness and the courage to go up and do that. I mean, oftentimes that's a bit intimidating. You think Secret Service
especially
around.
Especially with Biden, he might say something kind of crazy.
Right.
No.
Obama's on here. Oh, look what happened. Oh, the deficit. Oh, anyway. This is not a political program. We are not blaming any politician.
No politicians were harmed.
No politicians were harmed in the making of this on the Box episode. But yeah, God bless Rob for his boldness and his courage.
Yes.
And Mark, you've had a number of opportunities to give out tracts to well-known, high-profile people, haven't you?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. That's great. Appreciate that.
Ray, you have too, haven't you?
No. I don't know. I don't know if I've. Oh yes, that's right. I've met Pat Boone at the airport and a few other high-profile.
He's a Christian, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah. I had
have you given tracts to non-Christians?
Yeah, quite a few non-Christians.
Mark, tell us about some of the high-profile people you've given tracts to.
George Clooney. We talked about that. I was able to give one to him.
Right.
Steve-O this past weekend, we were able to give one to him. Little Richard was on the same flight as Ray and I, and strangely enough, he gave a tract back to us. It was a Seventh-day Adventist tract.
Little Richard?
Little Richard. Yeah,
wow.
Little Richard.
Tutti frutti! Oh, sorry.
No, he was able to sing. And DJ Qualls, we were over, John Travolta was able to get a track, and while John Travolta was there, we were also able to give some to Holly Hunter.
Oh, yeah, that was you who gave Holly Hunter the track?
Ray gave the track to Holly Hunter, and I taped it.
And who was it? But Dave Fallout-a-Tree gave a track to, what's his name that we just mentioned?
John Travolta.
John Travolta.
Yeah. So give out tracts, and again, we're not highlighting those people to say that they're more special than anyone else, because everybody's special.
Yeah, but it just doesn't sound exciting when I gave a tract to Fred.
Right, but
out there.
But yeah, so give out tracts to everybody, and opportunities present themselves like that. But let me just say this: so I think that while maybe some people might look and say, "Well, you're highlighting celebrities, you want to give to celebrities," I think the opposite can happen, where you just get intimidated by someone, even if it's not a celebrity, but just someone who seems to be very important. You know, we've even talked about it before, the businessman, or the scholarly looking person.
I got intimidated by Arnold when I went to give him a tract. I got intimidated by, I don't know why, a little wimpy chap.
Yeah,
I just saw the shadow come over me.
We're talking about Ray Comfort here. But no, that does happen, where we get intimidated because of a person's status, and we won't do it. But witness willingly to whosoever, as we've talked about a number of times. And on that note, in terms of giving out tracts, we have some great tips coming from our friend Manuel and Maria from Europe, who are out there preaching the gospel. Manuel's a great partner of ours. We met him actually on the European journey.
He wrote to us when he heard we're coming to Europe, and he offered his hotel to us free of charge to stay in, which was a wonderful thing.
Right. It was great, and they have a tip for us, so we're going to play this 2-minute clip about giving out gospel tracts.
Hello, my name is Maria, and I'm on the 65th Cannes Film Festival. Today, I will share with you some tips how to pass out gospel tracts effectively. Follow me. Tip number 1, be confident. There are thousands of people here, and if you approach them with a shy smile, not knowing what you're doing, nobody's gonna take it back. So watch this out. Second tip, always smile. Number 3, you never, ever approach people saying something like, "Excuse me, sir, I would like to share with you love of God." Never. You just go and say, "A million." If I can do it, you can do it. Let's review our tips of today. First, be confident. Second, always smile. And third, go and say, "A million." So, if you guys have any suggestions or comments, please go to our website. That was Maria from the Council Festival. Bye and God bless you.
Isn't that delightful?
So delightful.
Yeah.
That was exactly what I was going to use. And Manuel had heard about the ministry, and again, we met him out in Europe, but then it wasn't until he came out to one of our academies that he really took that step and started to preach the gospel open air and to reach out.
Broke the sound barrier.
And how encouraging now. I mean, even though he hasn't been doing it as long as maybe a lot of other people, he's still saying, hey, and his wife Maria, we've got something to give, so let's go ahead and encourage people through it.
Yeah, wonderful.
So anyhow, I hope you're encouraged through that. Here's a question we have, and Mark, I'll kick it over to you. It seems unnatural and awkward to give out tracts to strangers. Wouldn't it be better to find other ways to reach them? Perhaps focus on inviting them to church to hear the gospel. How do you answer that, Mark?
Well, I never get tired of hearing the gospel, whether it's in church or outside the church. However, I think that the primary role of your teaching pastor is to not just preach the gospel, but rather to equip the sheep, the children of God, on how to live the Christian life.
Right.
You focus in on Christ, you focus in on the different books of the Bible and things of that nature. His focus isn't on the non-believers. I have no problem with the teaching pastor to share the gospel. I think it's great if he's going to share the gospel. But how many senior pastors or teaching pastors do you know actually share the gospel every Sunday? And yet you're going to say, I'm going to invite my friend to the church to have somebody else share with him. It's very impersonal. I think being able to take your friend out for a cup of coffee, sitting down, and really just connecting with them. Somebody said, hey, well, how would you share with a Buddhist? Well, it depends on what their questions are. There's no rule of thumb on really how to tackle things. So I would go and just talk to them, get a cup of coffee, and see where they're at. So I would be very careful and just simply saying, I'm going to invite them to church and have somebody else share with them. You share with them. There's a reason why God has placed them within your circle of influence.
Yeah, and I think that the question dealt specifically with strangers. Isn't it awkward to go up to a stranger and give them a tract? I think it'd be more awkward to come up to a stranger and say, you want to go to church with me?
That's exactly what I thought. Yeah. So you could do both.
Yeah.
Give them a tract, witness to them, and invite them to church.
Yeah. Not that it's wrong to invite someone to church, but again, how many people will you be able to bring to church when you can give out hundreds of tracts?
Yeah, especially
especially
when someone's on their way through to Russia. Says you want to come to church? No.
Yeah,
give them
absolutely.
A tract they can take with them.
Joey Hancock of the American Tract Society said 53% of all who come to Christ worldwide come through the use of printed gospel literature.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Hudson Taylor, the great missionary, that we all know about, was saved through a tract. So is Moshe Rosen.
And Mark Spence, originally a tract sent him on his way.
That's right, Mark. You got a tract, and then that sent you to the Harvest Crusade where you came to Christ, right?
That's right.
Right. So, so anyhow, yeah, that's that there. A lot of people think tracts are offensive, but what more loving way than to reach someone?
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned the other day that I was giving out tracts in the mall. Remember the old Titanic tract, which I still got?
Yes.
And it goes down well, and I was told off by a security guard who said, you can't give these tracts out in a mall. And he took them off me, and he's holding on to a Titanic tract looking at it. And I said, why can't we get them out? He says, people throw them down. I said, they don't throw our tracts down. And I said, give it back. And he said, no. He wouldn't give it back. He wanted to keep it. It was a collectible.
People do throw our wallet tract down, don't
Oh,
they?
yeah, the wallet tract is thrown down all the time.
Yeah, so, you know, and you think of the people that have come to Christ through tracts. After George Whitefield read one that was called The Life of God in the Soul of Man, he said this. He said, God showed me I must be born again or be damned. And he went on to pray, Lord, if I'm not a Christian or I'm not a real one, for Jesus Christ's sake, show me what Christianity is, that I may not be damned at last. Then his journal tells us, from that moment did I know that I must become a new creature.
Right.
And so you think about that. George Whitefield, we talked about him yesterday, and how many people were touched through his life and through the gospel. And then this one, you have this in one of your books, Ray. A Christian book relates the true story of a diver who saw a piece of paper clutched in the shell of an oyster. The man grabbed it, found that it was a gospel tract, and said, I can't hold out any longer. His mercy is so great that he has caused his word to follow me even to the bottom of the ocean.
Pearl of great price.
Oh, I love that. Maybe that was one of your tracts,
In the shell
Ray,
of an
since
oyster.
You carry tracts
No,
in
this
your
is before I was
swimming
into
trunks.
it. Yeah.
Oh. 1922?
Yeah.
That could work.
No.
Okay. Here is another question that we got. What do you say when you give a tract? Ray, what do you say when you give a tract?
Take this.
Or else?
No, I say, did you get one of these? And it comes in handy because often I've given people tracts. I don't know if you find that in the same area. If you're living in the same city, you tend to find the same people.
Right.
And they say, yeah, 11 times.
That happens sometimes, especially fast food places around my place.
Yeah.
Mark, what do you say usually? Have you found that effective?
Well, you know, Ray and I were on a plane, and we were trying to hand tracts out saying, hey, would you like one of these? Would you like one of these? And then finally we just kind of changed it up, and we said, did you get one of these? And it seemed to be easy enough to hand out.
Right. That's great.
Because that stirs curiosity. And they feel as though they're missing out on something, which they are.
Yeah. No, it's really good. Find a creative way, whatever it is. But again, we know that gospel tracts are effective. Numbers of people have come to Christ. And if you think about it, it's the Word of God condensed. Mm-hmm. You're taking the bits about the gospel in the heart of it, and you're putting it in a written form, and you're passing it on. Yeah. The gospel written down. So please be sure to do that, and make sure to write to us if you have any questions or thoughts or suggestions to onthebox@livingwaters.com. Look us up on Twitter and Facebook, and join us tomorrow for tips from the trenches.
You'll not believe it.
God bless you.
Great stuff.
Right.
For questions about On The Box with Ray Comfort, or to submit questions for future shows, please email onthebox@livingwaters.com. That's onthebox@livingwaters.com. On The Box with Ray Comfort is an outreach of Living Waters. For more resources to inspire and equip you to fulfill the Great Commission, check out livingwaters.com or call toll-free 1-800-437-1893. Now go and preach the gospel.